Hello again. Gather around, people. This one you do not want to miss. We have our second panel discussion, and first of all, I'd like to invite all the panelists and the moderator to the stage. Dr. Ramaswamy, Dr. Satya, Dr. Smita Jain, Dr. Shambhavi Naik, and Dr. Madhusudhana Rao. So the title for this panel is Life Beyond PhD. Speaking of PhD, let me get a little philosophical here. I'm going to quote Malcolm X. Education is the passport to the future. For tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. Makes a lot of sense. But for most of us, deciding which passport to take can be pretty confusing and daunting, especially because we have so many career options available, possible career options, and our knowledge about them is pretty limited.
So for this panel, today over here we have achievers who have each found a different calling after their PhD. So we think this is a fantastic opportunity for all of us to pick their brains, because all of us in this room either are or soon will be at that crossroads in our lives. Today over lunch we were asked, as a PhD student, do you see light at the end of the tunnel? Do we see light at the end of the tunnel?
I say, we see an explosion, more like a dhamaka. Don't take it in the wrong sense.
Sorry, I didn't get the answer. You didn't give me the answer when I asked.
No, I'd say I see an explosion.
Okay.
Of the good kind.
Moderating this panel today, we have Dr. N. Madhusudhana Rao, a biophysicist at CCMB and CEO of AIC at CCMB. And Madhu has made our job really easy because he has chosen to introduce the panelists himself. So without taking much time, we will now hand it over to Madhu.
Good evening, friends. Welcome to the panel on Beyond PhD. I'm happy to have very competent panel members with me, and which makes my job pretty easy, I guess. And the way we are structuring this particular panel for 1 hour is, first 10-15 minutes, initially I'll give a couple of minutes presentation, and then there will be a kind of pitch from each of the panels on the topic that we have today. And after that I have some questions received already arranged by the organizing committee, which I'll put up first. And then it's open to the audience for with their own questions. And at the end of it, what we plan to do is summarize the opinion or the pitch, the elevator pitch of each of the panel members, and that concludes the discussion for today. So what I did is I was just reading up a lot of bites in the net on this particular topic. So I just make a positional statement on what is today generally in the thinking. So I just stand for a minute. So the topic is Beyond PhD. The way we are looking at it is PhD to life. Right? Introducing the panel that we have. Can we put off these lights? Ramaswamy, probably you may have heard of him many times, and quite an accomplished mentor, former CEO of CCAMP, senior professor in STEM. We have Smita Jain with us, Executive Director, India Bioscience, key role in establishing the processes at CCAMP. Shambhavi Naik, a PhD and works as a research fellow at Sathya Technology, and is interested in India's policies in areas of emerging technologies. And you have Satya, Global Innovation Impact Lab at PATH.
If you asked me, I would have given a better picture.
Really? Surprisingly, there are only 2 pictures available, and the one was of low resolution. So I thought this one is better. Founding Head Strategy Partnership, and he was a very organically involved with BIRAC. So, thank you. So, what I'm doing is, what are the science careers that normally people come, and I just want to list them so that academic research, academic teaching, industrial research, government and non-profit agencies, research administration, science policy, consultancy, communication, patent law, and any others that you may have. These are the kind of options that probably one has after PhD. And if you look at the literature, I mean literature in the sense kind of various forums that you listen to, 60% of the PhD scholars decide to be academicians. That's the kind of poll. 1 in 8 PhD scholars manage to get a tenure track position. So what it tells you is PhD scholars and the other academic positions. This I collected from, there is a recent article in eLife and Research Policy. This is the kind of survey they have done, it one of the largest surveys they had. So what are the career restrictions for a PhD? If you look at it, that comes to your mind while making the next move. You'll think of age, your disciplinary specialty, should I drift, should I stick to it? Caring responsibilities, all of us have. So these are some of the things that go through your mind when you make a call or make a call on your next step after PhD. So when you look around, the kind of feedbacks that people get are, scientists are, their curiosity is relentless. Obviously they have to nurture it. And the next thing is, everybody says scratch an itch. It's very important. And the next message a lot of people keep saying is, be okay with discomfort. Because generally we tend to look for engagements where our comfort levels are good. So don't be caught up with only comfort as part of your decision making. Pick up something that is also not completely to your liking. The bottom line is, know thyself. And what lies beneath is what lies ahead. So I picked up one song from R&B singer Deborah Cox, which goes something like, something you have taken for granted, take for granted until someone pulls it apart and leaves you with half of your heart. How do I trade the best I had for less without giving up? Thank you very much. So I will go with the questions that we have. One of the questions that came to us, and before going, I'm sorry, I start with Ram to open his remarks on today's panel.
Thank you all for inviting me. I sent a mail to your organizing colleagues last week. I said, when I saw the others in the panel, that I'm irrelevant. And I really mean that, because I am one of the few people who has an opportunity. I've worked with all of them. And they have much more to contribute than somebody like me in a panel like this. But I want to start by correcting the only person older than me here, which is Madhu. My current affiliation is not Institute for Stem Cell Biology and Regenerative Medicine. I'm currently a professor at Purdue University, Department of Biological Sciences. Minor correction, but important declaration. I want to say one thing, and then I will pass the mic on. People often ask me, when students come to my lab, what is a PhD? And my normal answer is that PhD is a doctorate in philosophy. If you're working in my lab, you won't get a doctorate in structural biology, and if you go work into a SNUS lab, you won't get a doctorate in stem cell biology. You're all getting a doctorate in philosophy. So the hope is that the degree will turn you into philosophers. And then the normal question, I know before you're thinking in your head, who is a philosopher, right? Aristotle was a philosopher, Copernicus was a philosopher. They were all big inventors and discoverers as well. What philosophy teaches you is the ability to observe, inquire, analyze, and research, and present. This is what a philosopher does. Whether you do philosophy as you think what it is in terms of dealing with God, or whether you think about it science or whatever it is. So in that sense, it is not a trade certificate to become an academic. So that's all I want to say. So don't say this is right, this is wrong. It's not a trade certificate. You know, if you're an electrical engineer, you know how to change a light bulb. But even if you're a plumber, you know how to change a pipe. If you actually get a doctor, that's why they're called doctorate of medicine, because they get a specialty degree. You're getting a philosophy degree, so be philosopher.
Thanks, Rams. That was being really modest. Is it okay now? Okay. So I guess before I give my statement for 2 minutes, I would like to thank the organizing team, the moderator, and the entire student community who's driven this. I guess we all should clap here, because this has been amazing conference. And the amount of work that has been put together for even one panel, let me tell you, bigger meetings I have not seen this happening. So this is, thank you. This really means that everyone's very, very serious about the topic. So life beyond PhD, I guess, very interesting topic. Happy that we have reached a stage where we are discussing, talking about this. What is life beyond PhD? Because for long, I guess we've been taking this, that if you have done PhD, as Ram said, it's a certificate you have got to get into academia, but that's not true. PhD gives you much more, and all you need to do is to know yourself, as again Dr. Madhusudhana put it. You just need to know yourself, what you are good at, what you like, what makes you happy, and then take a call regardless of what peers or society has to say. So that is what my message would be to begin with. And I'm sure if you have taken a very conscious decision about your life beyond PhD degree, you would be very, very happy. So with that, I guess I would pass on to Shambhavi.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Shambhavi, and my opening comments come in 3 parts: a disclaimer, a question, and an ask. The disclaimer is that I'm only 3 years out of a wet lab research job. I was a postdoc at NCBS, and therefore I'm still figuring things out on my own. So I am more on that side of the table than this side of the table. So bear with me, right? My ask is, what I'm going to share a lot today is anecdotes. I don't really have the experience and expertise to give advice. So the ask is, my father is a civil engineer. He's done civil engineering all his life. My brother did a biomedical engineer, then he did an IT master's. Now he works in an IT company and studies Sanskrit. My husband is a mechanical engineer, did his master's in mechanical engineering, then did management, joined Accenture as a supply chain consultant, and now we have a co-founded company, CloudCrate. When these two changed from engineering to do something else, no one asked them why. No one asked them, did you lose your training? You're wasting your opportunity, you wasted your seat, right? The minute I stand up and say, okay, I'm going to quit my wet lab job and I'm going to do science policy, everyone is like, what? What? You're going to waste that seat, you're going to waste that training. And I think the question we have to ask ourselves, and I think I want each of you to ask that to you, to yourself, is, do we look at the PhD just as a certificate to get into academia, as Ram said? Or can we value it for the transferable skills that it gives us, right? If engineering can do it, why not a PhD? Why can we not look at it for beyond the technical skills that it gives us? So that is my that is my question to all of you. And my ask is, I get asked a lot of times how I chose a science policy career. It wasn't easy. There was no job, right? We all have that problem. What do I do if not wet lab research? There are no job opportunities. And I currently work with a think tank called Takshashila, and there was no job there. There was no, we are looking for a PhD in life sciences to come do this. We started interacting informally, and that's how I got into that place. Fortunately or unfortunately, we are at that stage of science development in this country where it is up to us to figure out where we fit. As we do not know where the jobs are, organizations do not know how best to leverage you guys either. It has to work in tandem, and you'll have to explore. Unfortunately, that onus is on you. There is no other way around it. The only thing that I would say, we had a panel in the morning about what should be the science in India after 10 years. I hope we don't have to come here again and still be answering that question, that if not academia, what else in a decade's time? And the answer has to come from you guys. So that's my spiel. Thanks.
Okay, so it's my turn, and Madhu has given me 2 minutes. 10 seconds are almost gone. I'll map it. But first, I'll echo what Smita said. So fabulous, teamwork here. I've only interacted with Shambhavi and Annapurna, but I'm sure there are many others who have contributed their time. So once again, my appreciation. I'm actually the last minute entry because Radha Rangarajan stepped out. I think she mentioned my name, and therefore I'm here. But I'm happy to be here. And what a fabulous first panel it was. I wanted the next 1.5 minutes to throw these ideas. So, and again, I just turned 45, close to 4 or 5 weeks back. And so I'm in that mid-40 kind of breakdown that happens. So we're reviewing constantly our lives, right? I mean, you must be doing it, and I think we do it all across. So I'll give you a couple of data points. One is I actually dropped my +2 exam in '91, and I was, at that time, I grew up in a small university campus in a tiny place called Sambalpur, which is in Odisha. It's near borders Chhattisgarh. And, people said, oh, you dropped your board exams. That's a failure in life, right? So I retook the exam in 1992. And thankfully, I did okay, and I've done okay, I believe so. Number two is, I think all of us deal with uncertainty, right? Uncertainty is something that you deal with in your lab, in your lives. But I think we need to have that ability to still make decisions in that fog, right? And how do we make that decision, and who helps us making that decision is something we can discuss later on, but that's very important. So uncertainty is not going to go away from your life. Just because you want to leave or stay in academia, doesn't matter what you do. That's going to be a constant feature of your life. But while that is going to be a constant feature, how you're going to take decision is something very important. So if you have decided what to do beyond academia, that is also an uncertain world. So that's one. Number two is the power of serendipity. Rams just mentioned that he has worked with all 4 of us, and that's true. I've worked with all 3 of them except Shambhavi. I hope we'll start working also and collaborate. So partnerships and collaborations become very important. So uncertainty, serendipity, and partnerships is something that will deliver some clarity as to what you want to do next. And just underlying all of this, and we were talking before we did our homework together, is something that all of us have leveraged. That is a go-to person. Right, a mentor who is going to help you take that. Smita, Shambhavi, Rams, and Madhu, all of them were talking about that, and that's true. But I was thinking with this life beyond PhD. I wanted to rephrase it, and I would say life despite PhD. So I'll stop there.
Thank you very much. We'll go to the, probably this needs to be stopped or something.
Yeah, the mobile phone.
Maybe. One of the questions that came to us goes like this, and it is addressed to Ram. As a long-term option, what is more successful? Doing postdoc in the same field or different field? Ram, it's your call.
Different field. But it actually does not matter very much. There are 2 points I want to mention.
Yeah.